I am Lance Earl. I am DallyPost Tactical. I am the flag of the United States of America. Like her, I stand at all times, good or bad. Like her, I resist evil from any source. I stand with those who defend her. I fall on my knees in gratitude for those who sacrifice so much, even all, that she might fly. I am the people. I am one of those whom God himself created. I am one in whom he endowed with certain unalienable rights, which cannot be given or taken by man or the governments of men. I am so stoked today about this episode. Not only is this the first episode in 2016, not only will you see a new format, I will be making an announcement about a new project that is so cool. What if we could provide basic and advanced firearms training and shooting matches across the state? What if we could provide constitutional workshops, defensive law seminars in cities statewide? What if we, working together, could help our people become more responsible gun owners and more prepared to defend themselves if necessary, more prepared to avoid prosecution, incarceration, if self-defense becomes necessary? What if we could assist the people to stand and defend the principles of liberty, armed with the power of the Constitution and the righteousness of God? Finally, what if we, working together, could strengthen and raise money for many groups, liberty groups, churches, and other worthy organizations, while promoting the finest local firearms-related businesses? We can. Let that soak in. If you are part of a group that defends principle, morality, and liberty, or if you are a local manufacturer in the firearms industry, you will want to hear this. Details after the break. Lance Earl here. Freedom is under attack. The truth is, it doesn't matter which freedom. You see, when one freedom is under fire, all freedom is at risk. I don't know. Maybe the Second Amendment is not your thing. Maybe you don't even own a gun. But still, I am asking you to mark Saturday, February 20th on your calendar. On this day, the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance will lead the charge in the fight for your freedoms. Full details are available at idahosaa.org. That's idahosaa.org. Now, you gun owners will want to be there as well. At this event, you can defend your right to keep and bear arms, and maybe, just maybe, you will be the lucky winner of a free advanced firearms course. Just look for the guy in the DallyPost Tactical jacket. Hey, that'll be me. I'll get you signed up for the drawing. Beginning this year, I will crisscross the state of Idaho and Utah. As we become established, we will expand into new areas and train support staff as necessary. At each stop, I will offer a one- or multi-day event. The event schedule might look something like this. Day 1, Constitution Workshop. Day 2, Basic Pistol Course during the day and Defensive Law Seminar in the evening. Day 3, Dynamic Pistol Course. Day 4, Dynamic Carbine. Day 5, hey, we just get together with our new friends and have a fun shooting match. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my offerings. My firearms program, whether it be courses or shooting matches, makes use of my proprietary moving target system. I believe this system is the most advanced in existence today. It has the ability to move in any one of 9 different speeds. It can make moves of just a few feet or out to 100 feet. Now, it suffers from an intentional multiple personality disorder, and has upwards of 30 pre-programmed personalities. For each personality, I have written tactical requirements. Now, the combination of target personality and tactical requirements are collectively called challenges. Entry-level challenges are slow and easy and totally predictable. These are appropriate for and manageable by virtually every entry-level shooter. When a shooter masters one challenge, he may attempt the next. Each successive challenge incorporates a more aggressive target and more demanding tactical requirements. In fact, after the first two challenges are mastered, the shooter will always face a totally random target. Pre-move pause time, move direction, move speed, and move size will be randomly set by the system. This means that the shooter will have no prior understanding of future target activity. As a result, the shooter will be required to think, act, and react in an ever-changing combat environment. One problem with most shooting matches is the fact that the same shooter or shooters generally win. This means that the rest generally lose. It doesn't take long for them to get discouraged and stop participating. I have introduced league shooting to remedy this problem. Every time someone shoots a DallyPost challenge, he will earn 2 scores. The first is an individual score, and it works as you might expect. The second is the team score. And this team score will only apply if the shooter is a member of a team. All team members will earn a great score provided that they shoot at or above their own personal average. This means that any shooter, regardless of ability, can earn an amazing score for the team if he can only manage to beat himself. You see, everyone has success. We offer year-end awards for the top individuals and the top teams. The best thing about this program is that training is never sacrificed for the benefit of recreation, competition, or fun. High-quality training is maintained throughout. I am pleased to announce that we do not train a shooter until he succeeds. Instead, we train them until they fail. At some point, every shooter has attempted a challenge that has stopped him cold. In fact, no shooter has been able to master all. Elite military, law enforcement, and competitive shooters have all been soundly whipped by this program. That is a very good thing. You see, we take shooters right to the limit of their abilities. Then the real training begins, as together we work to help them move past previous failures. My defensive law course is designed to help shooters understand the difference between defensive law and defensive common sense. In virtually every state, people languish in prison. Their crime? They defended themselves in accordance with the laws of their state, but not in accordance with the laws of common sense. There is a difference. Following the law alone is not good enough. Instead, people must understand the traps that will place them squarely in the sights of the local prosecutor. In this course, we will discuss the law and discover its flaws. We will examine actual shooting events where the law was not broken and still prosecution followed. Finally, we will discover simple, common sense practices that can protect you from the criminal and from the prosecutor. My Constitution workshop is unlike any other. The primary reason is that I empower people with constitutional solutions so that they can take back the power that is innately theirs. In it we will examine the true source of liberty. We will explore and discuss key clauses in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights. We will also hear from the founders themselves, and they will explain what these documents mean. We will discover the essential connection between faith, morality, and liberty. Finally, we will turn to current usurpations of the law and explore the people's appropriate response to tyranny. As knowledge increases, despair fades, while courage grows and resolve blooms. Why do I do this? Just ask the great Thomas Jefferson. He said, "If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. If we are to guard against ignorance and remain free, it is the responsibility of every American to be informed." Close quote. That's why I do it. Contact me to discover how we can assist you in growing a base of people filled with faith and hope and sustained by courage. Contact me if you are in the firearms industry and would like to defend freedom while promoting your business. Hey, don't go away. After the break, we talk about guns. I want to hear from you. I am interested in your comments, your questions, and concerns. So if you have something to say, share it with me, and I will try to share it with everyone else. Here is what you do. Use your smartphone or tablet to record your comment or question. As a general rule, I have found that the best results will be had if you hold it about 1 foot from your mouth when you record. Send it to me with your full name, city, and state. You may also include a photo of yourself if you like. I will try to get it out, and I will respond personally. And I promise that I will never share anything other than your first name and your city. Just send it to DallyPost.lance@gmail.com. I'll take it from there. Our fourth rule of gun safety is to know your target, its foreground and background. Is there a time or a place or a circumstance when this rule can be ignored, forgotten, pushed aside? What do you say? More on that later. Last week, a married couple in Las Vegas woke to an unexpected noise in their home. They rose, grabbed their guns, and in an adrenaline-fueled rush, without a word, discharged 27 rounds at the intruder with only one hit. One hit only. Now here's the rub. One is a member of the local police department, and the other is in the police academy. These officers cannot shoot for beans. They can't shoot for crap. They cannot shoot at all. My experience has shown that this is the rule, not the exception in most police departments. I think this is alarming. Minimum required police qualifications are not nearly enough, not by half. And the sad truth is that most civilian gun owners train even less. So how do we remedy this? Shooting skills are perishable. If you do not train with regularity, your abilities will soften, fade, and disappear. It is my belief that you should train at least quarterly. By train, I do not mean shoot. And in most cases, I do not mean self-train. The majority of gun owners who self-train train in the wrong direction. The question is, are they training themselves to do things right? Or are they training to do things dangerously wrong? Train implies that there will be a trainer. There is no substitute for professional training. The next question is this: can you get what you need from your local firearms instructor? Probably not. Generally, no. If you desire to be proficient in the most stressful and deadly circumstances, you must train under similar conditions. Only the best trainers can approach that level of instruction. Then, for every round you fire on the range, you must pull the trigger at least 500 times in dry fire exercises. Dry fire is simply going through every action associated with live fire, except you do it with an empty gun. Now, before you start, make sure your gun is fully unloaded and that all ammunition is securely located in another room. Failing to do this will eventually result in an accident. Hey, just ask the hole in my living room floor. But that's a story for another day. Now, with all of your ammunition in the other room, you can safely practice reloads, tactical reloads, malfunctions clearance, and most important of all, trigger control. And trigger control is going to be my focus for today. Find a convenient light switch or other target in your home and begin. Keep in mind that your cat, dog, or family members are not appropriate targets, even with an empty gun. This is a great exercise while watching TV. I like to shoot away at the Magnavox decal on my set. If the news is on, I switch to Obama's ears. Now, build a good grip, align your sights on the target, begin to squeeze the trigger, and watch your sight picture. As you do, if the gun barrel drifts toward your gun hand, your strong hand, you probably have too much finger in the trigger. If the opposite is true, you might need more finger on the trigger. I recommend that you start with the trigger placed opposite of the center of your nail bed. Experiment with finger placement until you stop pulling the gun barrel off target. Now, there are other things that can cause the gun barrel to move left, right, up, or down. These problems are not always easy to diagnose. But the beauty of dry fire training is that you can see the gun barrel move as you pull the trigger. Then it's just a matter of making small adjustments until the movement is eliminated. And then here's the important part. Repeatedly pull the trigger. Now, this is after you have found the problem and corrected it. Repeatedly pull the trigger in the exact same way until it becomes natural. Until you can't remember any longer how to do it wrong. Now let us return to the fourth rule of firearm safety. That's the one about knowing your target, its background and foreground. Without a word, these two officers began firing at the person in their home. Never once did they say, "Get out of my house!" Or "We called 911, the police are on the way." Or "We are armed and we will shoot you if you do not leave." They just fired away. Now, there are a number of reasons why someone might be in your home without permission. Not all are evil. For example, there is a boy in my community with developmental delays. He is not dangerous, he is not mean, he is not dishonest. But he may pop in unannounced and watch a bit of TV if you leave your door unlocked. Shooting him would be a tragedy and probably a crime. The mother of one of these officers lived in that same house with them. On that night, she came home unexpectedly and was shot for her effort. Thankfully, she survived. These two officers chose to ignore basic safety rules. In this case, it is a good thing that they were also too lazy or too stupid to be proficient. In my opinion, these two committed a crime of extreme negligence. They very nearly committed negligent homicide, manslaughter, or worse, momslaughter. I think they should be charged. I think they should lose all opportunities in law enforcement. I think you should learn from their foolishness. Hey, come on back after the break. We will discover the source of all liberty. Freedom is not free, but I can help. I offer a set of fundraisers that include advanced firearms training, defensive law seminars, constitution workshops with a focus on the local solution. Now, why the local solution? It's simple. Government of, for, and by the people must always be close to the people. Hey, give me a call, 208-317-9843. Let's talk freedom. Have you ever asked yourself about the source of your rights? Where did it all begin? Where did the idea of these rights come from? And from whose mind did they first spring? Did it begin with Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, who wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal"? Or was it days later, on July 4th, 1776, when the Declaration was approved by Congress? Perhaps it was a month later, when 56 amazing men signed this incredible document and pledged their lives, their honor, and their fortunes for the singular prospect of liberty. Maybe it was in 1787, when the delegates of the Constitutional Congress drafted and approved the Constitution of the United States. Or was it in 1788, when enough states finally adopted the Constitution, making it fully ratified? But then again, was it in 1791, when the last holdout, Vermont, finally voted to ratify the Constitution and applied for admission to the Union? Some might even argue that liberty was not secured until December 15, 1791, when the first 10 amendments were adopted by the states and became the Bill of Rights. None of these dates, these times, these events represent the birth of liberty. Not even close. We did not invent liberty. We inherited it. But from whom? You see, our founding documents have a pedigree, a royal bloodline, literally a genealogy of documents that reach back and back again into the history of man. In coming weeks, I'm going to trace this genealogy for you, from the first document to the last. But today, I will take you back to the first generation, that we know of anyway. And when we get there, it will blow your mind. Some of these genealogical documents include the Mayflower Compact, the Magna Carta, signed in 1215 by King John of Robin Hood's day, and the 1100 Charter of Liberty, signed in, you guessed it, it was signed by King Henry in 1100. The first document in the genealogy is, well, what do you think? Here's a hint. Did you know that the preamble of the Declaration of Independence and the preamble of the Constitution of the United States say precisely the same thing as the preamble of another well-known document? You probably have it in your home. What is it? The Holy Bible. I'll bet you didn't know that, did you? Let's have a look. Genesis states, "And God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." The question becomes, what type of dominion is to be exercised? And the answer is given. Can you see it? Can you? Look, it's there. The dominion to be exercised is in the likeness and image of God. We are commanded to exercise dominion with the same justice, love, and mercy that God would show. We are to require self-sufficiency, morality, accountability, as does God, rewarding that which is good and punishing that which is destructive. We are to allow every man to chart his own course, as does God, thereby protecting the principles of liberty for all. The preamble of the Constitution states, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union." A careful study of the founders clearly illustrates that they recognized perfection in only one source, and that was in the person of Jesus Christ. Therefore, an equivalent translation of the Constitution might read, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more godly union. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more Christ-like union. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a union in the likeness and in the image of God. Genesis states, and let them have dominion. Genesis does not say him. It says them. It is not referring to Adam alone. This dominion is given to all men. Genesis further states that the dominion is over all the earth. Certainly, all the earth must include governments of men created on the earth. You see, God never intended man to be subject to kings, monarchs, dictators, and governments. His intention was for them to be subject to us. Turning to the Declaration of Independence, we read that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Does this not perfectly describe that same dominion? Does this not clearly state that man is to have dominion over government? Can you see that if you allow a tyrant to rule, you are not only a subject and a slave, you are in fact an enemy of God himself? The wonder of this is that the spark of liberty first formed in the mind of the Almighty. He has granted each of us dominion, not that we may violate the rights of a brother. No. Dominion was given that we might defend the freedoms and liberty of all men. Is it any wonder then that Thomas Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." If you expect to be ignorant and free, you expect what never was and never will be. The time for ignorance is over. The time for knowledge and courage is now. The time to stand is now. I hope you will.